Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jobless MA, the highest level of cage fighting discourse on the internet. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you do, I'll have my secretary send the Addy for my next Rager.
Boys, back with another video today. So recently, we were doing the UFC Black Fighters tier list, and I've been really happy with the reception that video's got, man. I've gotten like a bunch of new subscribers off that video. So obviously, you know, we've done Latino fighters, we've done Black fighters, the white fighters is going to be coming soon, then probably, you know, the Brazilians, maybe even the women. Probably not the women, though. We don't really like women, if I'm being honest, you know? But anyways, I digress. So when we were doing the Black Fighters tier list, I was thinking about Terrence McKinney, and I was thinking about Bobby Green. I was like, man, these guys, I love them, but they've taken some bad knockouts. And that's kind of a trend I noticed. I really like these fighters who have been slept a bunch before, like Dominic Reyes, too. I'm like, I don't know why. I really do like these guys. So it inspired me to do this video today. We're going to be doing the UFC's greatest knocked out artists. Okay? Obviously, we have knockout artists like Derek Lewis, of course, but this is going to be the inverse. This is going to be guys who are, you know, they're getting absolutely slumped, world starred, put on a t-shirt, sent out of the clouds, you know, ragdoll, lifeless animations, UFC 5 animations, guys who get knocked out really bad. There's a couple factors going into this, you know. I'm going to be looking at guys who are kind of more recent. You know, there's like one guy in this list who retired like a good bit ago, but he's still active doing some other shit, and he's getting knocked out a bunch doing like other, you know, boxing and MMA promotions. So he'll be included, but in general, guys who have retired like in the past 5 years is kind of what we're looking at. Obviously, TKOs aren't going to have as much of an influence on this. We're looking for the classic, you know, the big shot, like the, you know, you're cringing, you're like, oh no, it happened again type of shit. So without further ado, man, let's get into this video. And we're going to be starting off with a very, very strong entrant here, guys. We're probably going to be starting off with the entrant, if we're being honest. We got James Vick, man. James Vick, probably, you know, the greatest glass chin in MMA history. And in my opinion, the greatest knocked out artist, just because of the way he gets colded. You know, maybe not the most knockouts, but he gets colded, guys. And what can we say about James Vick? You know, early in his career, he got KO'd by Dariush. It was fucking bad. And then the big one was when he was talking all that shit, you know, you look like the fucking Homer Simpson of MMA dog to fucking Justin Gates. He got absolutely chinned in that fight. And then he took a couple more brutal ones in the UFC. The up kick against Nico Price was fucking terrible. The knockout against Dan Hooker was fucking terrible. And then I didn't even know, man, he got KO'd by Andre Fialho, who Andre Fialho nearly missed the cut on this list. It was kind of close. Andre Fialho KO'd him like in like XMMA or like some regional shit like that. So Andre Fialho, an honorable mention in this list, as was BJ Penn too. I thought about BJ Penn as well. Didn't make the cut though. Then the one I was talking about in the intro, I'm going to show it on the screen. He got KO'd in karate combat by Rafael Alves, the guy who was dancing around in that Drew Dober fight. We love him. This was a brutal KO, guys. It was a switch kick, super nice KO, but man, dude, the way he recoiled onto the ground, that shit like made me physically cringe. So James Vick, you know, he's a legend in this category. We can't forget about him. We love him, though. Love you, James Vick. Guys, go try using him on the UFC game as well. He's pretty fun to challenge yourself to learn some more outside fighting because he has no chin, but he's very long. So you can work on, you know, your jabs, your teep kicks, all these things. You can work on your cage management because if you get punched with James Vick on the video game, you will lose the fight in the first round. So don't get punched, boys. Up next, we got that guy I was talking about, man. The guy who retired long ago, but man, this guy, in terms of pure knockouts, this guy is the worst on the list. In terms of the quantity, we got Antonio Bigfoot Silva, obviously UFC legend. You know, he was a heavyweight champion like in Elite XC, I think in Cage Warriors too. Fought all over the world, guys. UFC, Strikeforce, Elite XC, Cage Rage, like so much shit. Bigfoot Silva is an absolute legend, guys, but this is one of those guys he does not know when to put down the fucking gloves. So, in his UFC career, he ended with like getting KO'd 5 times in like six fights. Mark Hunt, Arlovsky, Cain Velasquez, like maybe twice. I think he also got KO'd by Frank Mir too, really bad. And then, guys, I was surprised to learn, like, after all this, he's gotten KO'd like 6 more times between like 2021 and like 2024, man. He's getting KO'd in regional fight promotions. He's getting KO'd in fucking bare knuckle fights against Gonzaga, Gabriel Gonzaga. And he's getting KO'd in like, what was the other one? A professional boxing match. Oh, and he's getting KO'd in Glory Kickboxing against Rico Verhoeven. I don't know who the fuck made that fight. Like, so there's a lot of other interesting videos on Antonio Bigfoot Silva on YouTube. You should go check these out, man. Like, they're classic video essay videos on like, you know, the greatest downfall of a fighter or like, how is this even allowed? You know, shit like that. Go check out those videos. This guy is getting KO'd so much. It's really uncomfortable to see. I see here he's taken 12 knockout losses in his career, guys. That's fucking brutal. Definitely time to hang it up. Up next, we got another really strong entrant in this video, guys. Probably a reason that you clicked on this video. We got Johnny Walker. We love Johnny Walker, man. I think everyone loves Johnny Walker. A side note, man, I actually took him to beat Zhang Minyang. He was probably my best pick of the UFC last year because I felt so confident in this. I put a bunch of money on it, and I made a ton of money off this fight. So we're going to be doing more gambling picks as we get closer to the UFC coming back around. So stay tuned on that, man. We got some good picks, dude. I damn near tripled my money last year. I only gambled on maybe 10 cards, but I damn near tripled my money last year. So great year for me. But Johnny Walker, guys, brutal KOs. Okay, Volkan Oezdemir, the most recent one, was a fucking brutal knockout. The one, the Magomed Ankalaev knockout. Yeah, okay, I can say this. Whatever, fuck it. It's my channel. There's a video of an NFL running back guy, Zach Stacy, former Los Angeles Rams running back. He's beating the shit out of his girlfriend. That's the one that it looked. That's what Johnny Walker versus Ankalaev looked like, man. He was like cowering in the corner. Like he got hit one time and he was like, please stop. The Jamal Hill knockout, the Looney Tunes knockout, fucking brutal stuff. And then before that, he had gotten KO'd by Corey Anderson, guys. And then the absolute icing on the cake, guys, the best one. I'm going to play it on the screen now. When he got KO'd in the regional scene, and bro, he got KO'd like 8 times in one fight. It was classic Andy's home. It was like if Andy left his phone, wallet, and keys there and kept coming in the door every 2 seconds. It's like, oh, I forgot my wallet. Johnny Walker gets up. Then he opens the door. Slumped. I forgot my keys. Opens the door. Slumped. Like over and over again, guys. It was brutal stuff. So Johnny Walker, definitely a great knocked out artist. Up next, we got another guy who's on that glass chin list. I would call him a knocked out artist for sure. I'm not sure we've really ever seen him be colded before, like really bad, but he definitely makes the cut, guys. We got Cody No Love, Cody No Chin Garbrandt. Yeah, definitely taking some brutal losses in his career by KO. 2 of them against TJ Dillashaw. His knockout loss to Pedro Munoz was fucking brutal. And then he went down to flyweight. And, I was pretty excited to watch him go to flyweight, guys. And then he got leveled by Kai Car-France. Like, if you're getting leveled by a flyweight like that, not a good look, man. Cody No Love, he's kind of a weak entrant on this list, though, because he hasn't been KO'd in, at this point, like 4 or 5 years. So respect to Cody. He's getting it back together a little bit, but I definitely think he's over the hill, maybe a little bit washed. But we're still cheering for him, man. Exactly, bro. I never had to chase pussy in my life. I won't do it on December 1st. Yeah, dude, that shit was fucking crazy. But Cody No Love making the video. Very, 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 very excited to have him as an entrant in this video. Up next, we got a guy who's a newer entrant just because of the absolute work he's been putting in this criteria recently. And like I said before, one of the inspirations for this video, Bobby King Green. Bobby Green has taken some devastating losses in recent years, guys. His recent spinning wheel kick knockout loss to Mauricio Rufy really is at the top of mind, bro. He got slumped, man. His body turned into jelly. It was fucking terrible. What a knockout from Mauricio Rufy. Amazing. He got submitted before that against Paddy Pimblett. He got choked out cold, and that was like, that also kind of added maybe a little bit subliminally to my thought process here, because there were those memes of him making the, wait, I can't even make the noise of my mouth, but he's making the snoring noise, dude. That shit was fucking terrible. And then in terms of other KOs, the Jalen Turner stoppage, guys, one of the worst stoppages, the worst stoppage I've ever seen, in my opinion. So bad, man. There's the MMA Guru video of Guru Linneo absolutely tweaking watching this shit live. Go check that out. That's a classic if you haven't seen it. And then the other big knockout loss he took recently was the Drew Dober one. So bad. I mean, when you have your hands down, you're kind of dancing around, like your chin's very unprotected. You can get caught with like a straight shot like that, or if something hits you on the button, dude, you're fucking cooked. And that's what happened against Drew Dober, really bad. And then earlier in his career, he did get knocked out against Dustin Poirier as well, pretty bad knockout too. So Bobby Green, King Green, yes, he's my sweet Shocky King. Love him so much, man. One day I hope you, Bobby Green, hey, come do an interview with the fucking boys on Jobless, okay? We fucking love you, Bobby Green. You're the fucking man. Up next, we got another guy who is definitely a pretty solid glass chin knocked out artist, Marlon Moraes. Marlon Moraes, I think he was the UFC interim bantamweight champion. I don't really remember, but all I know is that he was like a number 1 contender, and he lost to Henry Cejudo by TKO, pretty rough. Then he comes back, man. He gets wheel kicked by Corey Sandhagen, like it flicks off his head barely. He gets TKO there, like not terrible, but the one against Rob Font was really bad. He gets TKO'd. It didn't even look like that big of a shot, but he gets him down. And then, guys, he gets TKO'd after that against fucking Merab, dude. Getting TKO'd against Merab is fucking brutal, dude. That was a great fight, though. One of the more underrated fights in recent UFC history. I don't see people mention that as like one of the most exciting fights of recent memory, but it was, dude. That shit was fucking insane. And then his last UFC fight, he got absolutely slumped by Song Yadong. Really bad knockout. So after that, he went to the PFL, and this was kind of still at the point where the PFL could maybe gaslight me a little bit into watching their shit. They would get like some UFC guys to come over. They had Showtime Pettis was the other guy. Like the two of them, I was so excited to watch, and they got worked as soon as they went over to the PFL. Marlon Moraes got TKO'd on the PFL 3 times. One of them was by calf kicks, really bad, completely outclassed. The other 2 were by punches. Super bad, guys. Over the hill, but now he's a cop. There's a lot of these MMA guys are becoming cops. We love that. We back the blue. I love the police. Back the blue, of course. But and then we recently saw in Misfits Boxing that Anderson Silva became a cop too. Guys, imagine you're cooking some crack. You're chefing up some Whitney. Some Brittany. And fucking Anderson Silva comes in. He's serving a no-knock warrant with the ATF. You know what I mean? Really bad shit, guys. He puts you in a tie clinch against the fucking, against the counter, and he starts landing vicious body knees like he did against Rich Franklin. That is cruel and unusual punishment, guys. That's some terrible things. I mean, that's a terrible thing to visualize. So, hey, if you're in that Los Angeles, Beverly Hills area, clean up your fucking act, boys, or you're going to be getting hit with an axe kick, if I'm being real with you. Up next, one of the goats of the video, you already know he's coming. We got Luke Rockhold here. Of course, Luke Rockhold actually had a really good career, when you think about it. Strikeforce champion, UFC middleweight champion, a guy who deserves a lot of respect, and he went out very well in his last fight against Paulo Costa. He showed a lot of heart in that fight. I don't know what it is about Paulo Costa, but I think he's kind of pillow-fisted, He looks like he hits really hard, but I've never really seen him slump somebody before. So Luke Rockhold put in a great fight against Paulo Costa to go out with, but in terms of the KOs, earlier in his career, or I don't know if you would call it earlier, but the first KO I can really think of is obviously the Michael Bisping KO. Got KO'd pretty bad in that fight. Pretty bad stuff. Then he comes back and he gets KO'd against Yoel Romero. This was a really, really bad one. He got fucking whooped in this fight. The follow-up shot was so brutal, dude. Just a dose of melatonin, trazodone right to his face. It's over, buddy. Chamomile teal. It's over. And then these motherfuckers, hey, hindsight is 2020, but he ends up running into a light heavyweight prime Jan Wahovich. He just gets absolutely slumped by a hook, dude. That was such a bad knockout. And then recently he ends up on some Misfits Boxing or one of these gimmicky promotions, and he gets knocked out by Darren Till pretty badly too. Darren Till looked good in that fight. So yeah, Luke Rockhold is a no doubt add to my list of knocked out artists. A guy we mentioned briefly before. Up next, we got Dominic Reyes, the athlete. Man, he's taken some bad KOs in his career. So obviously he had that 3-fight run recently where he won by KO all 3 times, and then he fights Carlos Solberg, just gets dropped. He gets flash KO'd really early in the fight. Very, very tough. And then before that 3-fight win streak is where this real glass chin narrative starts, So he took a TKO against Jan Wahovich. It was a bad TKO, he was wobbling, he was chicken dancing all over the fucking octagon. Really bad. Then he comes back. He fights Yuri Prohaska in an insane fight, but he gets spinning elbow KO'd, probably the worst KO he's taken in his career. Just flatlined. Then he comes back against Ryan Tomato Can Superman, Eggs and Ham Span, and he gets slumped by a jab, man. That's kind of when you knew his chin was gone. Really tough stuff, but I mean, he's still top 5 in the division right now, and he has a ton of fans. He's basically universally loved on MMA Instagram, MMA YouTube. All these MMA other creators I see, everyone loves Dominic Reyes. We love how he fights. So hopefully it's not too late, but definitely a knocked out artist, man. He's got some of the best knockouts. He's got some of the best times getting knocked out. You know how it is. Moving on, and now we got a guy who has maybe some of the funniest ragdoll animations of this whole video. We got Phil Hawes. So some of you guys remember this guy. I guess he is kind of a moderately deep cut, a middleweight that got cut, in the last 2 years. He had a short run on the UFC. He was actually a very promising fighter, really good wrestler. His physique was there. He busted into the UFC pause with a knockout win over Jacob Malkoon. He looked like he had all the tools, but man, this guy has been knocked out so many times. To end his career, I think, 4 of his last 5 fights were knockout losses. Chris Curtis, Roman Dolidze, Ikram, and Bruno Ferreira. And either 3 of them or all of them were completely brutal. I know Roman Dolidze, absolute ragdoll KO animation, and the Bruno Ferreira one, absolute ragdoll KO animation off the top of my head, but they were all especially brutal, I remember. He is probably the best example of a fighter who's his really only downside was his chin at the end of the day. He even beat Nasruddin Imavov, which we talked about on one of my first videos I made, the flukiest fights of recent memory. Dominic Reyes versus Ryan Spann made that video too. So yeah, Phil no chin Hawes, man. He has absolutely no chin. I hope he retires. I think he's taken 2 fights recently in this new Dirty Boxing promotion, which seems kind of good, guys. Seems like kind of a good promotion. I watched it. I watched Brian Battle on there. I kind of had some fun. So he hasn't lost those by KO, but yeah, man, those knockouts at the end of his career were fucking brutal, no doubt about it. And then the last guy we got, to end the video probably the poster child of the glass cannon archetype. You know, he's a cannon because he can put out the damage, but he's glass. He can't take it. Is Alistair the Overeem. So Alistair Overeem, I don't know if you guys remember, but near the end of his career, there was that hashtag one final run. You know, he was trying to make one final run to get the UFC belt. Maybe one of the best fighters who's never won the UFC belt. I might make a video on the best fighters who've never won the UFC belt, but that seems like kind of watch mojo of me, you know? Like it does seem a little bit generic. So I don't know if I'll do that one, but yeah, probably one of the best fighters to never win the belt. But yeah, he took a lot of KOs at the end of his career. He was always kind of chinny. You know, has a lot of fights going back in the day, even back to Pride, you know. Definitely taken a ton of knockouts. The worst one we can all think of would be the Francis Ngannou knockout. I mean, that probably would have knocked anyone out, but that shit was really, really bad. And then, you know, his ground and pound loss to Curtis Blades. And then by the end of his career, like even in that Volkov fight, like he was so worn down. Like he got hit and he just went straight into like the Anthony Smith fetal position, you know, just like looking up like, hey, please stop this shit, you know? So I love Alistair Overeem. I mean, I guess that's a theme you'll find on this channel, guys. I don't really actually like hate any fighters, honestly. I just like the sport and all these guys are very cool to me. You know, they all got a lot of balls. So I do like everyone at the end of the day. But yeah, Alistair Overeem, my guy I was really cheering for at the end of his career. Very, very chinny fighter. And that'll do it, man. That'll be the end of the list. Tell me what you guys think. I probably missed some other guys on this list. There were a couple other close guys that didn't make the cut. You know, I mentioned who did I mention? Oh, Andre Fialho barely missed the cut for me. BJ Penn missed the cut for me barely too. There's some other ones in the back of my mind as well, but yeah. Tell me what you think. Maybe the next video I'll upload might be a journeyman video. I'm thinking about doing like maybe a Bobby Green video, something like that. But if anything else catches my mind, catches my attention, you know, in these next coming days, I'll do some dumb shit like this one, or you know, the black fighters, or and then obviously the white fighters has to come soon. You know, hey, we're all about affirmative action on this channel. You know what I mean? Like we're this is such an egalitarian, you know, just balanced channel. You know, you'll never catch me saying anything offensive, man. Hey, we love everybody. You know how it is. Hey, we love everybody. But that's enough yapping, man. About to go have my dinner. I really appreciate you guys watching. Yeah, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. This has been Jobless MMA. Peace.